Hello everyone, I'm Donna Presley and I'd like to welcome you to the Donna Presley official YouTube channel. People often imagine that Elvis ruled every corner of Graceland, the wealthy, world-famous star, surrounded by staff and security, calling every shot. But anyone who truly knew our family understands that this picture is not quite accurate. The real authority inside those walls belonged to one person, our grandmother, Minnie Mae Presley, the woman Elvis called Dodger. In a traditional Southern family, age and experience carry weight. But in our home, those values were magnified by something much deeper. Grandma had been with Elvis from the very beginning of his life. She held to a strong Christian faith, and she had survived hardship after hardship. All of that placed her naturally and unquestionably at the head of our family. Her word carried the final say, even with Elvis. After my Aunt Gladys passed away, Grandma, Elvis's anchor, that's what she became. He was suddenly a young man, rising to the height of fame, preparing for national service, and grieving the loss of the person who had him grounded all of his life. He needed stability, and he told Grandma he needed her with him in Germany, and so she went. In Germany, Grandma found it quite hard to settle. She missed her daughters, and she missed the States. The winters there were far more harsh than back home in Memphis. She was able to telephone home regularly, which helped, but truly, she knew Elvis needed her, and Uncle Vernon did too. They were both still getting over the terrible loss of Gladys, and Grandma was there for them, caring for them, cooking their favorite food, Southern style, and keeping the home. She tried to see them both through everything. She knew they would be back eventually, and she was interested in experiencing a new country. Though she didn't quite pick up German and she didn't particularly like the local cuisine, they lived there, simply, quietly, privately, almost normally. Elvis wasn't performing, and life moved at the rhythm of people who were not in the spotlight. It deepened their bond even further. Grandma was direct, but never unkind. She had a wise way of seeing through people and situations, and she understood exactly how fame had changed the atmosphere around Elvis. She saw when certain individuals tried to maneuver him away from the family, and she found that deeply distasteful. Inside the home, there was an unspoken rule that everyone knew. Whatever Dodger said went. Elvis honored her without hesitation, and anyone who crossed her soon found themselves facing Elvis's displeasure. It was not loud or dramatic, it was simply understood. Grandma always approached Elvis the way she always had. There was no adjustment made for his stardom, no tolerance for behavior outside what she believed was acceptable. No matter his success, her saying was, "Don't get too big for your britches," and she meant it. To her, he was always just Elvis, her son, Vernon's son, born in Tupelo, raised with the same standards. She never shifted for fame, and he never expected her to. Her authority was moral, spiritual, and familiar. It was not something she claimed, it was something earned and respected. Whenever Elvis left home, he went straight to Grandma's room to tell her goodbye. Whenever he returned, that was his first stop. When he traveled, he called her directly. He even had a telephone installed in her room so he could reach her at any moment. That alone tells you the depth of her place in his life. There were moments when Elvis needed truth from someone who loved him for who he was, not for what he represented. Grandma and my mother Nash, his Aunt Nash, spoke with him privately in Grandma's room. They told him what only family could say. That was the pace of his work, whether filming or touring was breaking him down, that he needed proper rest, that his health issues required medical attention. These conversations were not confrontational. They came from love and responsibility, and Elvis listened because their voices were among the few he truly trusted completely. Grandma and my mom had an easy relationship. My mother was deeply religious and lived by the Word of God. She was extremely understanding and never bad-tempered or out of control. This made it that everyone got on with her. Her genuine sweetness and understanding for everyone stood out. I think she was probably the only Presley not to have a temper outburst, because certainly the rest of us did. Became quite honest. Grandma was not impressed with fame. To her, a good grounding was more important. Tension was easily restored in the house because of her respect for Grandma and the wisdom she possessed. When she spoke, everyone settled. Grandma's influence did not come from force. It came from a lifetime of guiding us, shaping our values, steadying the family, and reminding all of us, including Elvis, who we were and where we came from. Within Graceland, she was the quiet center of gravity, the stability, the moral compass, the presence that could settle any storm. People often talk about Elvis and the women in his life, who he loved most, who was the one who suited him best. But these conversations, in truth, barely skim the surface. They miss the point entirely. When we talk about the deepest love, the deepest caring and concern, nothing compared to the bond between Elvis and our grandmother. She was his rock, his anchor, the person he still needed even when he had a romantic partner beside him. Their connection was steady, unconditional, and rooted in a lifetime of shared history and trust. I often wonder what would have happened if Grandma had passed before Elvis. I cannot imagine how devastating that would have been. Her influence and presence were woven into every part of Elvis's life. The truth is simple. The real power at Graceland rested in Grandma's hands. She was Elvis's foundation, our family's wisdom, and the guiding light within that home. And Elvis knew it. We all did. Before I close today, I want to tell you what is coming soon, because it is a subject many of you have urged me to address, even though it brings with it a great deal of criticism toward me. I will speak clearly about why my Uncle Vernon believed there was foul play in Elvis's passing. His belief was not the product of grief or imagination. It was formed from what he witnessed, what he understood, and the reasons he held to until the end of his life. Our family never dismissed those reasons. We lived with them, we knew the circumstances, and we recognized the weight of what he was trying to convey. Next time, I will explain those reasons with the clarity they deserve, even though I know it invites backlash toward me personally. I will also be answering your questions, as I always do. I do not select or avoid. I respond openly, directly, and without hesitation. I hope you will join me for that. It is not an easy conversation, but it is an important one, and it is time to speak to it properly. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for listening, and until next time.